Well, Peter Karsten is the chief executive of 3G-Scene, which provides gambling on mobile phones, and Anthony Jennings is from Gamcare, a charity which helps people with gambling problems. Very good morning to you both.
Morning.
And Anthony Jennings, you were on the programme a bit earlier talking about this huge increase, particularly in electronic gambling.
Yes.
Well, can you tell us a little bit about it? What size of increase is there?
We've had an increase in the last month of 15,000 hits alone on our website. And that's growing by 15,000 people per month, month on month, which is a substantial number of people, the majority of which are seeking help or advice of some sort or another about remote gaming.
So really
remote gaming is where we see the future problem
It's
lie.
also an exponential
But
increase.
let me be quite clear, it is the unregulated, unlicensed sites that we wish to wage war on. And I don't think Peter falls into that category. In fact, I know he doesn't. He's registered with Gamcare and conforms to our codes of practice and does the sort of things which we want, like a preset daily limits, low stakes, etc.
Okay, but Peter, there must have been some concern when you were setting this up about the rising levels of debt in this country and rising levels of gambling addiction, and somehow whether you had a social responsibility to make sure that people didn't get into too much debt with the service that you're providing.
Absolutely. We work very closely with big network operators. We provide mobile gambling services for the only mobile poker service in the world at the moment. And the most damaging thing that could happen to us would be bad press around people who have problems gambling. So we've worked very closely with Anthony's team over at Gamcare to keep down the amounts that you can bet.
How much can you bet then? What's the maximum you can bet?
Well, typically sort of £1.40 if you're really daring, but most of our bets are 70 pence.
70 pence.
So it's not very radical.
I suppose you could do it a lot, though, couldn't you, through the day?
Well, if you really try hard
Yeah.
and play throughout the evening, then you can probably lose about as much money as it would cost to have dinner. So it's it is money, most certainly, thank goodness, from our perspective, because it's our company. But it's not our intent for a moment to cater for the market segments where people spend a lot of money.
It is interesting, Anthony Jennings, isn't it, the way that within society as a whole, the perception of gambling has changed so radically over a very short space of time.
No, it most certainly
it's
has.
entirely socially acceptable.
Historically, the leader in this was called the lottery.
Yes.
Because after the lottery, we rose almost as high as 90% for a brief period of people in this country who gambled on a regular basis. That's more than once a week. That's dropped to 70-something now. But still, gambling is perfectly socially acceptable. I think something that people of my father's age, I mean, people just didn't do it. There were no betting shops on the street. There were bookies runners. And gambling was a pretty dirty word. It now is, as the government has wanted to create it, a mainstream leisure activity. And we have no choice but to live with it and try and control it and make it as safe as possible.
And with some people it causes a lot of problems and plunges them into further debt
We
which
wouldn't
they can't
exist if
afford.
that weren't the case.
Exactly,
Yeah.
But for others, we were hearing one in the report, there's one woman, Mel, who's actually thought of it as a career and said that she was earning quite a lot of money out of it. I mean,
Well, poker is a game of skill.
That's offshore. That's offshore.
I know that's not part of your business, but it's interesting that some people do see it now, gambling, as a career for them.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's, I mean, you can go to offshore sites and you can play blackjack for $2,500 per bet, you know, and that sort of number.
Per bet?
Yes.
But you can make that distinction.
But for every winner, there has to be someone funding that. There have to be losers. The sites
most
themselves
of the
don't raise
professional
the money, do they?
gamblers play poker. Poker is a game of skill. In all casino games, the house has an edge, and you will always lose. Poker, a good player will win.
I just wanted to ask you, Peter, briefly, what kind of checks do you have in place? Do you monitor people who bet with you regularly? Do you have checks in place? And would you send them a text message or something saying, look, we think it's getting a little bit out of hand?
Yes, if we have so-called bad beat protection, which is built into our systems, which means that if we do have customers who lose money more quickly than we're comfortable with, then customer care gets flags, and then we sit and watch them, and typically it evens out. So if it evens out, we just quietly watch what happens, and if it doesn't, then we hold the player, contact the player, and pull things back.
Okay, well, Peter Karsten, Anthony Jennings, thank you both very much.
Thank you.
Interesting.